Hey folks, my name is Tim Lee. Welcome to the Montana Lifestyles Podcast. A few years ago, I had the opportunity of interviewing a bunch of folks in a show, and there was one gentleman who stood out to me because this guy went the extra mile and decided to make his own paint.
Yeah.
George, where did you tell me a little bit about this specific style of painting that you do?
It's called egg tempera painting, and it's one of the oldest methods of paintings around. A lot of the old masters, Michelangelo and that, used it. The paint is one of the most permanent paints you can get. It's made from egg yolk and pigment. Oil paints are made from a vegetable oil, such as linseed oil or walnut oil with your pigment mixed in. Your acrylics are made with a polymer emulsion with your pigments mixed in. Watercolors, gum arabic with a little bit of pigment. And egg tempera is the egg yolk and pigment. A lot of people think it's the egg white, but the egg white can be used for a varnish. The only problem, it's super permanent. It's one of the most permanent varnishes you can get, but it has an extreme tendency to yellow over time. So you don't want to use it because you can't get it off, and what you have is a yellow film. So then you go to some of our modern day varnishes for over the top.
Right, Gamvars and things of that nature.
Yep.
Or what?
Now, one of the beauties about egg tempera is after it dries, you put it on thin layers, building thin layers. After it dries, you can take cotton. It dries to a very flat, almost chalky sort of finish. You can take cotton and polish it so it comes up to a high gloss. It's a really unique finish. And the other thing is you build in thin layers so the under layers show through, so you get a real translucency and a real, if you love light, it's one of the best mediums to capture that light. Everything just bounces through and your light comes through and bounces back, so you get a great feeling with it.
And George, you were mentioning that the dry time of it, or maybe better yet, the shelf life of it is very short.
Yeah, when you make your paint, you basically have 72 hours to use it. If you refrigerate it. If you keep it out in the open, you're good for maybe 24 hours or so. So you have to mix enough for what you're going to make, because to remix the same color is kind of difficult. You don't want to keep coming back and reworking. So you make enough paint, get into it, and paint to your heart's delight, and long hours until you finish.
Insanity. And so what called you into wanting to go to this absolute permanent route the way that you have?
Let's say it this way. We all know most artists are a little crazy. So I think it's that aspect that took over.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very specific and special, unique form that you have perfected in such a way.
Well, I wouldn't say I perfected it, but I've perfected my technique. My technique's a little different, but it's been around for years, and a lot of great artists have used it.
Yes.
Andrew Wyeth used it in a lot of his paintings. So did his sons. Canadian artist Alex Colville used it. Of course, Michelangelo and a lot of the others. Artists are just like everybody else in today's society.
Yep.
We're a fast food society.
Yes.
Everybody wants it now.
Yeah.
And the beauty of egg tempera is it takes you time and you work. And I think it's just that, talking about the feeling of the accomplishment after you've done it,
right.
Working through it and the extra little bit, and doing something that not everybody else is doing.
Right.
So,
you are incredibly gifted, incredibly kind. I've always enjoyed getting to know you, watching you work, watching you talk with folks. We're in the last day of our show. I hate saying that out loud. I'm so new that I could go another week without getting tired out here. But how do people find your work, and how do we get you some of those post-sale phone calls and texts that we all wait for?
Very simple. Just come down to the show. Come in when you come in the front door. Head right to the back of the hall. I'm right near the back. Can't remember my booth number. I think it's 2729. So right at the back of the hall. Can't miss it. I also have some stone lithographs there, which is another medium that I use. Some acrylics and some pastels.
Explain stone lithograph for me.
That's a long one to explain, but I'll give you a little short version. You start with a piece of limestone about 3 inches thick. Sand it completely flat. You do your drawing on there with litho crayons or litho pencils, which are grease-based pencils. After you do your drawing, there's a whole lot of chemical stuff you do to the stone. If you want to learn about that, come down to the show, and I'll give you a handout.
So is it kind of like etching into the stone?
No, you don't etch into the stone. It's actually, everything happens on top of the stone. So after you do your chemical stuff, then you apply your paint by rolling it on with a roller. The paint only sticks to where the pencil's at.
I see.
Then you take your stone, put it in your press, put your paper on top, either damp or dry paper, press it, and peel it off, and you have your image in reverse. Then the beauty is, after you pull your addition of that, then you take a second stone and you do a drawing for your next color. Then you line everything up, press your second one. So if you have a 5-color one, it has to go through the press 5 times. You have to make sure everything lines up. And that's when you remember that old saying, the similarity between an artist and a gambler. Do you know what it is?
It sounds like you both take the gamble and you may or may not win.
No, neither talks about their losses. So you never hear a gambler talking about who he lost, and you never hear me talking about the ones that didn't line up.
Well, my friends, you can tell that George Traicheff is definitely someone who gambles quite a bit and takes on the challenging pieces.
That's right.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your show. Do you have any social medias or a website that anyone can go check out?
I don't have a website right now. At the end of this month, it should be up and running.
Wonderful. Do you know the link that everyone can
No,
go
I
to?
don't right now. It's not. You can come look in either the Portfolio magazine. I think there's an ad in there, or in Leisure's. What's right here?
Yep.
The Lifestyles. Treasure State Lifestyles magazine. There's an ad in there. It's got all my contact info. Or if you come down to the show, you can get a hold of it, or get a hold of anybody who's running the show, and they all have my information.
Wonderful. Would you do me the honor of signing my magazine for me, sir?
I certainly will.
There you go. Have a marker. Folks, big thanks to Johnson Madison Lumber for supporting my podcast here. 300 years of combined experience. When it comes to the world of construction, get it done right. And talk to the folks who know what they're doing, jmlumber.com. Also, Farron's Furniture right here in Great Falls have provided these very comfortable chairs that we are sitting in for my interviews. Big thanks to Farron's Furniture for their very kind donation to this weekend. We deeply appreciate them as well. Folks, more coming your way right here on the Montana Lifestyles podcast. Yes, the few short hours left of the show. Please make sure to reach out to us. We are always looking forward to those phone calls. We're always looking forward to those emails and those texts of folks that have seen our work and are ready for those additional commissions or are interested in a piece that we may or may not still have. So give us a call. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.